here. Let's have a chat. So today I'm with my partner. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, I'm Lily.
So we're gonna talk about a apparently very polemic and very hot topic, which is
Your partner just came out to you as trans.
and we don't mean to make light of it, you know, but
No.
I mean, let's talk about this, right? So we want to focus a little bit more on the spectrum of transmasculinity, in particularly what we have observed coming from the lesbian community, right? Okay. So do you want to, first off, do you want to talk about a little bit about you and kind of like our experience of me coming out to you as transmasculine?
Sure. So I guess I should preface that I myself have always, like, for me, my gender and sexuality have always been kind of fluid, and I haven't, you know, I always identify as queer, which is more, you know, more all-encompassing in a way, and so perhaps that is why I didn't have, like, you know, so much of a, you know, such a difficulty comprehending and, you know, processing all that. So I should, you know, preface that. But, you know, that aside, first of all, I could sense that this was coming. In a way, you know, like without even probably being able to articulate it. Even that put aside, you know, our relationship is so much more important to me than whatever else, like any other thing. So why would anything be worth me putting that in jeopardy? Yeah. So it hasn't been, you know, I've just accepted. Yeah, I mean, this is my partner. That's what they are.
Yeah.
And it's great to talk about these things with each other, and, you know, we bonded more, I think, even more over.
And I should preface too that I do identify as non-binary, but I did identify most of my queer life as a cis lesbian person, woman. So I kind of like understand where the sentiment is coming from. So one of the, I guess, the most common things that I hear and then I see is, you know, I'm a lesbian and now you are going to identify out of the woman category, and that's also valid for non-binary folks, you know, so it doesn't have to be just like a trans man, you know, it can be a transmasculine, non-binary person, etc. So anybody going out of that, what woman would be categorized as, right? So, you know, you went out of this box and now it's gonna mess up my identity, and like I don't want that. So what do you have to say about that?
So first of all, ask yourself how important is your relationship with this person, and, you know, think about, okay, you know, they came out to you as trans, non-binary, etc. That means that they always were like this and they just hadn't realized it until now. So if you love this person, you fell in love with this person while perhaps they hadn't realized this yet, or perhaps they held it in for a long time. Perhaps only now they feel comfortable with you to tell you, to share this really personal thing. You know, so
that's huge.
Yeah, that's really important to think.
Yeah.
Because it's not, you know, it's more about them than you. I mean, yes, you have to go through some, you know, thinking and stuff. And then, however you're, you know, wherever you feel like there's a conflict with your identity now because of this, like let's say, yes, you identify as lesbian and then your partner came out as transmasculine. Is your identity just that, or is it perhaps more? Like, you know, like you can find that, you may find that the word lesbian is not enough to encompass all that you identify with. So it's, you know, you can
I like that.
Yeah.
Because it's not about one being better than the other, you know?
Right.
It's not like, oh, if you love this person, then you're gonna do that. You know, it's not about that. It's more complex than that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, your identity is something very important. And I remember when I identified as a lesbian, that was very, very, very important to me, because for me, it was like a rejection of everything else that was being violent towards me, and that was like oppressing me, you know. So like I really had to own that. But I like how you said it, how you know, it's like, can it be amplified or more open to encompass other identities too, you know? It doesn't mean like it's less or more. It just means it's like encompassing other portions of identity too.
Yeah. And I mean, we've, you know, like 30, 40 years ago, we didn't have so many, we did have those identities, but we didn't have words for them, perhaps. So, you know, that's a benefit of living
At least
today.
that's in the West.
Yeah, that's,
Unless
of
here,
course.
yeah.
You know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's a very important point. Yeah, I mean, now it's, you know, now like there's been so many more scholars and writers and people who really articulate all the different spectrums and how they overlap, and, you know, gender and sexuality, and like, you know, the kind of the fluidity of it all too. Also something to think, like, you know, our identities are not fixed often. You know, we evolve, we grow, we learn some things, we unlearn some other things, and it's a, you know, I think it's beautiful, and I think people who, it's like really enriches your life to accept that you're not a box, you're not a static, you know, you're not monolithic.
Yeah.
That you have the power to change as well. And yeah, you have to just look into yourself.
And what do you think about the folks that say, you know, like, well, you know, I like vaginas, or I like women's breasts, and if, you know, I'm with a trans person and they may have had top surgery, or, you know, phalloplasty might be something they're considering, but like I don't want that because I'm like turned off by that, you know, like it doesn't arouse me like sexually. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, that's a very good point. Ask yourself, what is it that actually arouses you sexually? Is it just their genitals, or is it the person? Is it just the genitals? It's like kind of fetishy and a little weird, I think, if it's just that.
Yeah,
But
it's
then,
like so compartmentalized.
Yeah, but if it's the actual person you're attracted to, I mean, people's bodies are so different. Like that video you showed me the other day, you know, like people's bodies come in like different shapes and sizes. And
the other thing I want to challenge also is like this idea that vaginas equal woman, female, penis equals male, masculinity, you know, like same with like flat chest equals masculinity for male, and, you know, breasts equal woman and femininity. Like that's just so over, you know. It's just like so not true. And I know it's complex, you know. I mean, it's one of the reasons why it took me so much to accept myself as transmasculine, was because I did have those ideas as a lesbian that, you know, flat chest is because of my masculinity, and like, why the hell would I want that? Or like, I remember I would be so upset when, like, granted, I would get a lot of things, you know, guys saying that like I needed a dick to, like, you know, I hadn't tried like the right dick or whatever, saying that I could be, you know, cured somehow of my lesbianism. But then it's like, but how do you know I don't have a girlfriend with the dick? Also know that was their intention to make me feel lesser than, but then it's like, no, you know, there are women who have penises, you know, and that's totally okay. So let's just flip a little bit, you know, the dialogue, or like turn the tables in that sense.
Right.
Yeah, and like the masculinity expressed by a trans person can be very different than the masculinity expressed by a cis male person. And I'm not saying it is always different, you know, because there's a lot of like binary trans people out there. They're spreading a lot of toxic masculinity, and it really fucking sucks, you know. But on my umbrella, on the non-binary umbrella, I think folks are really challenging what it means to be masculine and feminine, and like just like stop reducing people to their genitals, you know, and other parts of their bodies. This is like the exactly opposite of what like the queer community is about, you know. It's about exploring identities, it's about acceptance, it's about, you know, love, and it's about fighting like hell, and that's like the opposite of it. So
agreed.
Yeah,
I can't even add anything to that. Yeah, fuck the binaries.
Yeah,
and this is, you know, binaries are in other areas of our lives too, not just gender and sexuality. You know, it's everywhere. It's like how many, you know, in the US there's only 2 political parties, and they suck, both of them.
binaries are everywhere. Here's the question: do you think it's transphobic when a trans person comes out to their partner and they're not supportive and say they want to like leave them because they're trans?
I mean, that answers itself. If the reason is because they're trans, then yes, it's transphobic. If the reason is the partner is, you know, hasn't been there, you know, like there's so many reasons like to break up with someone, you know, that may coincide with them coming out as trans if they're not a good person, you know. But if the only reason is because they just came out to you as trans, then it's transphobic.
Yeah, I mean, there's not so much to think about there, you know. Yeah, it's transphobic. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Basically, don't do that.
Hear all these stories of people being kicked out of bathrooms because they're trans. That's transphobic. It's the same thing. Yeah, you kick this person out of your relationship because they're trans. That's transphobic.
That's transphobic. Don't do that. So, babe, what if tomorrow I came to you and said, I want to have phalloplasty?
Okay. Fun. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like our sexual, you know, life.
Well, one thing I will say, if you do that, that doesn't mean that all we're gonna be doing is this.
Definitely not.
Because that, you know, that's not all there is to do. There's much more fun ways, many ways to be intimate with each other, and it will just be an extra, you know, new thing to have fun with, I guess.
Yes. So we just like would see this as an opportunity to find new ways, also to like be intimate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll you know, you wouldn't need the harness all the time. Not that you need it all the time.
Yes.
You know, sometimes.
Sometimes. Yeah. And we'll pretty much be the same sometimes. Sometimes not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. That's cool. Well, so let's make a conclusion, right?
Yeah, we can like kind of recap.
Do a little recap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing, you know, the first thing we said was, you know, think that usually trans people who have always been trans, and there's been different factors that have affected when they come out, if they ever do. So if you know your partner, you can probably sense when, you know, that they are.
Yeah, that's a very good point. We also talked about how thinking about this as a transition for both people. Because you're evolving, but so is our relationship, right? And you talked about
thinking that perhaps there are ways to think about them as more encompassing than we think now.
We also talked about challenging the ideas of what is masculine and what is feminine in someone, like genitals, you know, like body hair, and I'm talking probably more specifically hair all over and like beards. So always keeping in mind, challenging the ideas of those things being so binary and attached to certain genders.
Right, challenge the binaries. Yeah. And we also said that yeah, then there's no arguing this. Breaking up with your partner because they're trans is transphobic.
No argument.
End of conversation.
End of conversation. And then just lastly, we talked about exploring new ways of loving each other emotionally and sexually, and it's fun, we promise, right?
Yep.
So I hope you folks enjoyed the video and that it was somewhat useful for you and your partner. If you want to show that to them, that'd be great, and I'll see you folks next week. Bye. This is my Lily partner.
Your Lily partner. Yeah.
Let's start again.
Okay.
Take the thing off.
Okay.